Hi there.
Hi, Nicola.
Hi. Yeah, you can call me Nikki.
Nikki, hi. Nice to see you. It's
Hi.
Jamie.
Nice
Hi.
to meet you.
Okay, you're here. I can't see
Yes.
you yet.
Oh, I don't have my camera on, but I do have my headshot up there, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, that's fine, of
Yeah.
course.
Okay, awesome.
Let me figure out why I can't. Maybe my view is off. No, I'm sorry. Can you see me?
I can, yeah. Yeah, I can see you just fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't like you have a headshot that's supposed to be up?
Like just my face, like my Zoom profile picture.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they can see me or not see me as long as they can hear me. That's all
Right.
I'm worried
And
about.
you'll share your screen. Can you share your screen? Do you have that permission to go?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind, I'm just going to share a test right now
Yeah,
because I
that's
don't have it in
perfect.
presenter view quite yet.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Let me see. Share.
To our
Do, do, do,
participants that
do.
I think are here, hi, everybody. Just 1 second. We'll be fine.
Mhm. Okay, let me. Sorry, just trying to get presenter view pulled up really quick.
Good. I'm gonna,
Amy, can you see my screen
perfect.
okay?
That's perfect. Yep.
Wonderful.
Gotcha.
Wonderful.
All right. To
Awesome.
all our parents that are out there, we will start in about, let's see, T minus 1 minute. I'll give everybody another minute. If our participants, if you have a question that doesn't get answered, if you could put it in the chat, and Nikki, I'll kind of monitor the chat, and then maybe natural breaks, if you just want to ask me if there's any chat questions, I can try to make sure we're getting those answered.
Great. Yeah. No
Break your
problem at all.
flow. So just, well, I'll monitor the chat and try to answer what I can, or the Q&A, I guess I should say. So parents, if you have a question that we're not answering in this webinar, please just put it in the Q&A and I will try to get those questions answered for you tonight. If we can't answer it tonight, I'll put out something for you. This webinar is being recorded. It will be posted on the website, so parents will have access to it in a day or so. So it should be up no later than Wednesday on our main website for our parents to view. So we'll go ahead, and I see 100 people. We've got, yay. So a good, healthy night ahead. And I'll just say, first of all, thank you for coming. For our parents, we'll go ahead and get started because it's 6:01. This webinar tonight is really for senior families. So parents of seniors, if you're out there, hi there, thanks for coming. All throughout this month, college and career staff at the 4 high schools, counselors are working with our seniors to make sure the college application process is as seamless as possible. But we wanted to do this webinar tonight to make sure that parents understand, the process, how to do things, and how to take a look at what's going on with the college application process in particular. So with us tonight is Nikki Turnbull. Thank you, Nikki, for joining us. It's the first time I think we've worked together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Happy to be here, Amy.
Appreciate you being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Well, as Amy said, I appreciate you all attending tonight and taking time, I'm sure, out of your busy schedules to be here. My name is Nikki Turnbull. I work with Maia Learning, which is the college and career readiness software that your school district is using. So as Amy mentioned, today is going to be focused on seniors and their process and sort of that application management journey and how Maya Learning helps, and also the process for families in general and how you can support your student throughout that process as well. So without further ado, we're going to get started. So our agenda for tonight, we're going to kind of go over a little bit about Maya Learning and how that process works. And then we'll go into a few more specifics about the senior application process in general. Then we're going to clarify some things about family accounts versus student accounts because there are some nuances to both of those that I think will be important as you support your students throughout this process. And then we'll go over how you will log into your family account and gain access to kind of help support your student. Awesome. So just to start off, what is Maya Learning? So Maya Learning is a post-secondary planning platform that will support your students kind of in the beginning research and planning phase. So where students can explore information on colleges and go through those university fact sheets and really figure out where they're wanting to apply. My Learning also has tools for your counselors and university reps to coordinate university visits to your school. This is where students will sign up for those visits. As well as My Learning contains pieces to kind of help students track and log any experiences throughout their high school career. So as they're having to build those activity lists for applications and put together a resume for potential internship opportunities or jobs, or even share their academic record through the self-reported academic record. My Learning does link with the SRAR as well. One thing I do want to clarify though, because the UC system or University of California system does require students to self-report their academic record. That is a separate system from SRAR, so I just like to clarify that in case there's ever any confusion. So back on track. The kind of final step of what My Learning will support your students with this year is going to be that official application process. So My Learning syncs with the Common App, as well as any schools that accept parchment or slate documents. Your counselors and staff members at your district will send documents directly through My Learning for those things. I do see one question in the chat. I apologize. I wasn't very clear in my articulation. SRAR, so not fair, but SRAR stands for self-reported or student-reported academic record. So those colleges that students they may only take final transcripts, but they require students to enter in their academic records. So there are a list of universities that accept that from students through that SRAR portal. And I'm sure your counseling team can provide you more information on that. Say, I do apologize, not trying to get in the weeds, but just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I think Nikki, we don't
Yeah.
use SRAR. I'm seeing this from Stephanie Brady, who's one of our, because we
Oh,
use
gotcha.
our Aries transcript system.
Oh,
So
okay, gotcha. My
yeah,
apologies. I do apologize for any confusion then. Perfect. So back on track on that other application piece, students will request letters of recommendation through Maya Learning, as well as they can see any of those application essays directly through the university fact sheet as well to kind of get started on that. And if your school district has chosen to, they can also see any of their test scores that have been uploaded into My Learning under that academics tab. And we'll kind of go through those different pieces of the student student account and kind of where students will find that information, as well as how you can see and support your student in this process. Amy, is there anything else you'd like me to touch on kind of in the general overview?
no, I think some
Okay.
of the questions I see coming up here, you're going to be answering a lot.
Wonderful. Okay.
So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm happy to take some time at the end for any like Q&A that we didn't hit or anything like that. Not a problem at all. Yeah. Awesome. So I'm going to hop over and just play a little bit of a student overview for our system. I just want to make sure, I apologize really quick, that I shared my computer sound.
Welcome to Maia Learning, the system that helps you plan for life after high school. To use it, log in at maialearning.com. You can sign in with Google, Microsoft, or some other system if your school is set up that way. You'll see your dashboard with assignments and surveys. Click one to learn more and respond with the Actions menu. Academic Planner holds your self-reported academic record and test scores. University Search lets you search for colleges and explore details. Save ones you like to your considering list.
Oh, apologies, everyone. See if I can hop back. We can get that going. Oh, alrighty. Well, I do apologize, everyone. I will send this to your counseling team, and they can also share out that kind of like small snippets about the student accounts in Maya Learning, kind of that general overview process as well. But I'm going to hop back to our presentation. And as I mentioned previously, I will be going kind of through those different pieces of the student account anyways live in one of our demo students to kind of walk families through that process, as well as give students a quick reminder about some of those things they might already be familiar with. Awesome. Perfect. So as I mentioned that video, just as it was getting to, My Learning does have a robust college research portion of its platform. This is where students can go through and plan and explore different colleges. Our college search also does include international universities. If that's something of interest to your student, they would simply need to go through and make sure that the country selected is whatever country they're looking for. So for example, if your student was interested in University of British Columbia, they would just want to make sure that they select they're searching within Canada versus within the United States, and they would be able to see the fact sheet for that college as well as add it to their list. I'm going to go through the college research portion and kind of that search as well when I'm inside a student account. Within a college fact sheet, you're also going to see historical data for your particular school. This is where you'll find scattergrams and kind of where your student falls within the historical data and admissions for that college, specifically to your certain high school that your student attends. As well in Maya Learning, students are going to start building their college lists. There are two college lists within Maya Learning. There's going to be the considering list, which is where colleges go initially when students add them. And then there's going to be the applying list, which is kind of that finalized list of where students are planning on submitting their applications. The applying list is also where students will request documents such as transcripts or an NCAA transcript if they are planning on playing sports in their post-secondary educations. That's where they will do all of that. And we'll go over how to request a transcript as well once we get into the student account. As I mentioned previously as well, within My Learning is where students are also going to sign up for events as well as post-secondary college rep visits. So they'll do that within their events page, and they will use that actions menu to click attend for any colleges that they might be interested in, or any college visits, apologies, they might be interested in attending, or any general events or visits that your college counseling team might have added to My Learning. Students can sign up and show interest for any of those events as well. My Learning also has a scholarship search and financial planning tools. We do have a universal scholarship search for some of those general scholarships, as well as we have a spot for your district to upload and enter in any scholarships if they keep a scholarship database that is available to students and families. They can upload and share that information all within My Learning as well. As well as we have some cost and funding tools for students and families to go through and kind of enter in your student aid index number and kind of see what those costs might be for where students are potentially wanting to attend. As I touched on previously, My Learning also has a digital profile. So this is kind of where your students can go through and sort of build out who they are as a person. Within their digital profile, they can start working on a personal statement. This is where they'll add in that post-secondary goal. So what are they planning on doing after high school? Are they planning on going to a four-year college, two-year college, into the military, into the workforce? Whatever that might be for them, this is where they can enter that information in so that they're aware, their counselor's aware, everyone's on the same page. Within their digital profile as well, students can also track any type of experiences. So experiences would be anything that they've done, such as volunteer opportunities, maybe paid work opportunities, internships, anything like that. Students can add into Maya Learning to share and track their information there. And then for any of those added experiences, students have the ability to build out a resume. So when they go to our resume builder within Maya Learning, they can choose all of their experiences, only specific experiences, and build out multiple versions of that resume depending on what the purpose of that is. So for example, if they are looking to join some type of club or something, and they need to highlight their volunteer experience or anything that's relevant to maybe the topic of that club. They could curate those experiences on that particular resume and then only share that out as well. One other thing to mention is that within Maya Learning is the Maya Drive. It's sort of like an online cloud storage tool where students can view their transcripts if your district has made that visible to students so they can see the transcript that has been uploaded. This is also where you can share any documents with your counseling team, or if they have any resources or documents they want to share with you, this is a secure place to do so. Awesome. So just to kind of touch on again that student college application process within Maya Learning, and we'll kind of go through what that looks like for your student directly within a demo account. But just to highlight those different things. So this is where students are going to research their post-secondary options. They're going to sync their Common App accounts with their Maya Learning account. That will allow your counseling team to send documents directly through Maya Learning and kind of manage that whole process within Maya Learning. You're also going to request teacher letters of recommendation and your transcripts, both school transcripts, so initial, final, and etc., as well as your NCAA transcript that can be sent directly through My Learning. You're going to use My Learning to explore financial planning and scholarship opportunities, as well as sign up for events and visits. Awesome. So let's explore. We're going to hop into a student account. So when your students log in, this is what they're going to see initially. This is their student dashboard. So this is going to show any upcoming assignments they've been assigned, as well as any upcoming application deadlines. If they've entered that information onto their applying list, they can sort their dashboard by all upcoming, just events this week, next week, this month, or next month as well. If your student has been assigned any surveys, they can truncate to see just those surveys, as well as any overdue assignments, or they can go back and reference anything that's been completed from their dashboard as well. I do want to make sure that I clarify, this surveys tab on the student menu is not where parents will view their surveys. We'll go over how parents will view and access any surveys that they've been assigned in just a little bit. So we're going to hop directly into that universities menu. So here, the first tab you're going to see is that university search menu. This is where students are going to begin that exploration process. We do have a very robust and large database of universities. As I mentioned previously, the university search is country specific. So if you are wanting to explore any colleges or post-secondary institutions outside of the United States, you'll just want to use this drop down here to select the specific country. If you have a particular college or university in mind that you're wanting to navigate to and explore, you'll simply click this magnifying glass and then type in the name of that university. Under this university list menu, you'll see any curated university lists. My Learning does provide a few to get started. Those are going to be based on application type, but if your college counselor at your school has built out or curated any additional lists, that's where you'll find these here. You can truncate your search specifically by location. So you can choose either region, a specific state, a city, or even within a distance from a particular zip code if your student is planning to live with you or live with a family member after high school as well. You do have a few more filters, such as type of school. You can choose the type of college. So what type of degrees do they offer? Less than 2 years, an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, or even those institutions that offer master's and doctorate degrees. If your student is planning on pursuing beyond a bachelor's degree and would not like to transfer institutions in that process. You can search by specific type of college. So that's going to be public, private, nonprofit, or for-profit colleges. If your student is interested or involved with ROTC, they can see any specific ROTC designations, any special missions for any colleges, or any religious affiliation if that's important to your family as well. And this will truncate that list of colleges. On the admissions filter, you're going to be able to sort by selectivity of particular colleges, any colleges that may be test optional, or any colleges where the average accepted test scores fall within a particular range. Under this More option, you're going to see a few other options, such as campus life. So this is going to ask students what their preferences are in terms of size of college as well as setting. So they can choose maybe medium-sized school and then choose where they would like to attend college, what they're potentially most comfortable with. Under the Programs and Majors tab, there are a couple different ways that you can utilize this search option. My Learning offers two different kind of versions of the program and major search. So it can be any of the majors selected. So in that case, if a student chooses animal science and psychology, any colleges that are in that truncated list are going to offer at least one of the selected majors. If you choose all majors selected, that means that if I chose animal science and psychology, any college that populated on my truncated list would have to offer both of those majors. So that's a really great option if students are looking to double major in something, or any of the majors selected might be for students who are maybe undecided at that time and are interested in colleges that offer any of their potential programs of interest. If your student is planning on playing sports in a post-secondary institution, they can select here to choose a certain division, sport code, etc., as well as you can search by particular costs of attendance too. So if I wanted to go look at a particular institution, for example, let's pick Boston College. I'm going to type in Boston College here. I'm going to select the name of the school. If I already know, Boston College on one of my top lists, I really want to apply there, I'm just going to come over right away and click this heart to add that school to my considering list. However, if I want to explore a bit more about that particular school, I'm going to click on the name and then I'll be taken to the fact sheet. One additional thing I want to point out is on the college search, you do get a little snippet of information about that school. So here I can see that Boston College is private nonprofit. They have a 17% acceptance rate, 91% graduation rate, as well as the test score ranges in which accepted students fall into, their undergraduate enrollment, and the type of campus that they have. So a small campus, meaning they don't have a ton of students, and the campus is located within a city. When I click on Boston College, I'm going to see this general overview page. So I'm going to see a little bit about that university. I'm going to have a quick access to that university website, as well as a bit of information. I'm going to see the deadlines about that particular college and what different options they offer for admission. So early decision, regular admission, and early decision 2 as well. I'm going to see a little bit of information about the previous classes that have applied there. So any students that have previously applied from my school, I'm going to see a bit of information about that. And then, if supported, any of the colleges, we do have a few videos populated by our partners at Campus Real, if this is something that they partner with. On the Campus Community tab, I'm going to see a bit of information about the demographics at a particular school. So I'm going to see their undergraduate enrollment, graduate enrollment, difference between full-time and part-time students, female and male ratios, total students, a bit of information about where these students are coming in from. So are most of them from Massachusetts? Do most of them come in from out of state or what have you? I can also see a breakdown by ethnicity. And then I can see a bit of information about that particular university as well as different organizations that they offer at their school. On this admissions tab is where you're going to see information about admissions and the previous admissions class from your school. The admissions tab is where you'll also find that scattergram information. So this information up here at the top is going to be not from your high school, but from that college as a whole. So anything that they report out about the previous admissions class and their general information. I'm going to see here about application fees, application types accepted, whether or not they're test optional, as well as this number here. So however many students were admitted that did decide to enroll. So out of the 17% of students that were admitted, so here, 17% of students that were accepted to Boston College out of total applicants, only 35% of those students chose to enroll. I'm going to see a bit of information here about application deadlines, as well as the general academic profile. As I did mention, this information is all relatively general to Boston College and is not specific to your high school. Any of the information specific to your high school is going to be down here in this admission statistics category. This is where you're going to see that information on scattergrams of previous applicants. If I were to hover over a little dot, I'm going to see information about that specific application. So this is all anonymized. It never mentions student names or anything like that, just general information about the type of application, the student's GPA, as well as test score that is there. So I can see myself here, or the average here, apologize, of accepted students. And then I can see myself here, the little black diamond will show myself on this scattergram in comparison to the previous applicants at my school. I can also filter my scattergram to show me GPA versus SAT or GPA versus ACT, depending on where my stronger test score might lie. I can also filter by all applications, just early decision, early action, rolling or regular decision, depending on what is offered at a particular college. I can then come down a bit further and see the historical statistics. So this information down here under historical statistics and application history, again, is going to be specific to my high school. So these are students that I went to school with who have applied in previous application years. I can also see, if necessary, the SAT and ACT, FAFSA codes, etc. on that page as well. My essays tab. Yeah, sorry, Amy.
Sorry, Nikki. I
No,
promoted
you're okay.
one of our college college and career center advisors are here, Stephanie Brady. She's on, and she just, first of all, she's been deep in Maia for the last few months learning it.
Yeah.
Got a question or an offering?
Yeah, just a couple of things to mention. Hi, Nikki.
Yeah.
How are you?
Hi, Stephanie.
Just a quick clarification for the parents that are on here. So can you clarify, I believe when you're looking at all the scattergram information, it is under analytics. Is it under analytics for students and under admissions for parents?
It is under admissions for students. So right now I'm logged in as a student.
Okay.
So
And
students
it's
will
under
see this under
analytics for
admissions.
parents though, right?
It should be under admissions because the way that parents would access this is when parents log in, and I'm going to show a screenshot of what their dashboard looks like. They're going to select their student's name, and then what they see is exactly what their student sees. So
Okay.
they should see it under admissions. And I can clarify that after today's call. I'm sorry, I don't want to hop around on people. But will also send you a quick email to clarify.
Okay.
And then so you can pass that along to parents and families if
Okay,
necessary.
perfect. Because we
Yeah.
had a call
Yeah.
earlier today and we were told, Kelly had mentioned it's under 2 different locations for parents and students.
Oh, gotcha. So when you're logged in as a counselor, you're going to see an analytics tab.
Yeah,
So that might have been where the confusion lied. Is that
yeah,
because you guys see that differently than
yeah.
students and families experience that?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you can just get us the clarity on that, that
Yeah.
would be great. And then the only other thing I wanted to add in, because
Mhm.
this is the question that we've received on the scattergram page that you
Yeah.
actually have, because we're
Yeah.
living in a test optional world and
Mhm.
not everyone is submitting tests, I think it's important to note that the scattergrams only captures those applicants who have applied with a test score.
Yes. No, that
It
is a
does
great,
not, it
that
does
is a
not
great point.
capture the students who just applied with a GPA.
Mhm. That's a great point to note. Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to tap out now.
No problem. No problem. Is it okay if I keep going, Amy?
Mhm.
Perfect. Awesome. So our next tab that we're going to go through is going to be our essays tab. So this data is populated by our partners at Prompt. It will include any of those admissions essays for these colleges. So it'll include the ComApp essays. If a college has any specific supplemental essays, maybe for additional scholarships or for specific programs, you're going to see that information here as well. I can drop down here and see the application essay prompts. For any of the prompts that are labeled current, those are going to be for the current year. I think that all of them should be up to date at this point, but if you happen to come across one that says 2023, that would be the previous application year's essay. But as I mentioned, those should all be up to date as of now. You're going to see any required supplements as well as any optional supplements, as I mentioned. So you can see those just by dropping down here. As a bit of additional information about each college or university, everything is going to have a degrees and majors tab. So if students are kind of in that exploration phase where they're not quite sure what they want to major in, but maybe they're interested in a particular college, they can go through and see the different types of majors that are offered. They can also see whether they're offered as bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, or doctoral degrees, depending on how far they're planning on going in their post-secondary education. You can also see varsity sport information under the cost and aid tab. You can see the general information about tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, as well as financial aid breakdowns. So for any students who are receiving financial aid, college and universities do report out these numbers, and that's what we pull into here. A little bit further down, you're going to see projections. So for your graduation rates, for your cost of attendance, 6-year graduation rates, 6-year cost of attendance, as well as retention rates. On this notes tab, you're going to see this is if any counselors or staff members at your school have added notes that they wish to share with you as families about particular colleges, that's what you're going to find there. Perfect. So I'm going to hop back out of our university search. So that was a pretty in-depth view of the university search and kind of walking us through a particular university fact sheet. I'm now going to go into a student's college list. So after a student has gone through, clicked that heart to like a particular college and add that to their list, they're going to see any of those on that considering tab. So the considering tab does have 2 locations. When a college is initially added, it's going to be here on actively considering. If a student decides, hey, I am super interested in that college, they're going to come over here and select to applying. This will move this to their applying list, and that's where they're going to be able to request transcripts, as well as fill out any of that specific application information. They can still do that here, but once it's on their applying list, they'll want to make sure that they fill out all of that information that is pertinent to their application so that documents are sent in a timely manner and processed correctly by the counseling department. If a student were to remove a college off of their considering list, they can do so, meaning they're not interested or what have you. They can do so from this actions menu and selecting delete. Colleges that are removed from the considering list are going to be here on this secondary tab, this deleted page. So they're not gone forever, but they will be on that deleted page. So we're going to hop over to our students applying list here. And on their applying list, I'm going to see any of the colleges that my student is planning on submitting applications to. I can see here the type of application that my student is planning on using, as well as the term, the application plan that they've selected. So do note that all of this is filled in by the student or the counselor, depending on if the student was working with them in particular. And when a student enters a term and plan, the deadline will automatically populate for that. So it is important to note that if your student is planning on applying to any colleges through Common App, they do need to sync their Common App account. Otherwise, they will be unable to request documents for themselves. So in this case, I can see here that I do have a few Common App applications on my list. So one thing that happens quite often that I do like to note is that students sometimes forget that they do complete their applications within Common App itself. So they need to make sure that they link their Common App, and all of that information will come into Maya Learning from the Common App itself, but they still do need to complete their applications there. So they need to make sure that they're entering that term and plan information in Common App. So when that has happened and that's successful, students can come up and select request transcript here. However, if for some reason your student forgot and they came into Maya Learning and they added American University to their list and they said, oh, I really want to go there. So they've added all of that information, they've selected Common App, they come up to request a transcript, they're going to receive this error message because they haven't yet added that college into their Common App account. So the information does need to be in Common App. It will automatically transfer back into Maya Learning, so they only need to enter it once. But just as a reminder, the information comes from Common App to Maya Learning. For students, it does not go from Maya Learning to Common App. I just like to make that distinction because that is some places that students get tripped up quite often. Very easy fix, not a big problem at all, but just something to kind of get out ahead of when you're working through this process. A bit of information. Oh, sorry, Amy. Yeah.
Question for you, Nikki. How
Yeah.
and where does the student perform that sync? So they need to go.
Oh, great question. Yeah, great question. After I kind of finish going through this, I'm going to go through how students link their Common App, where they can, if they've forgotten to waive their FERPA, all of that good stuff.
Perfect.
And I'll go through the student profile. Yeah, so is that okay if I kind of finish up here first?
Yep.
Beautiful, wonderful. Yeah, no problem at all. So we'll go through, like I mentioned, how the student syncs their Common App account, as well as how to see all of that information and some best practices for that process. One more thing I like to note on the applying list is that it does give a bit of information about the recommendations that are required. So if a counselor recommendation is optional or required for a particular school, as well as the number of teacher evaluations that are required for a particular college. So here I can see that American University requires at least one, but accepts up to two. If students really want to go through and kind of build out the additional information for a particular application, they can also add in their specific program information about what they're planning on studying there by clicking this plus button, and they can enter the name of the program that they are planning on going through there. As well as if for some reason a college requires a student or a university requires a student to apply to a specific college within their university. So maybe, for example, you're going to a large university such as Arizona State, and they require you to apply specifically to their journalism program or to their College of Social Sciences. You can enter that information right here. Most of those will be populated in this list already, so you don't need to type in that information yourself. So generally, you won't have to click Add New College within university. It should be in that drop down of information. And this is just helping your counselors kind of know exactly what your plans are, as well as kind of building out that data as well. Awesome. So the last piece that I'm going to touch on within that universities menu is going to be how students request letters of recommendation from their teachers. So that's going to be under this recommendations tab. One thing I do want to note is that once we get to that family account portion, family accounts are view only. So you can see all of this information from your students, but students are the ones who kind of make those actions. Students are the ones who go in and request recommendations. Students are the ones who add colleges to their lists. They mark off activities as complete and things like that. You as families, when you log in, you are going to be able to monitor and view all of that information. But any changes do need to be made when logged in through the student account itself. But sorry, just hopping back to recommendations. So on the recommendations page, this is where students are going to request any of those teacher recommendations. They can scroll through here and find their teacher, or they can simply type in a teacher's name and they can locate them here. So I'm going to select my teacher. Students will request recommendations with colleges. So this means that they will choose the teacher and then specifically which college they would like their recommendation to go to. I do want to note that teachers should not write individual recommendations for a particular college, because especially through Common App, teacher recommendations, specific ones can be sent to specific schools. However, whatever letter Tammy writes for Wendy Baker will go to any of the schools that Wendy chooses for Tammy's letter to go to. Tammy cannot write a specific letter for American University and a specific letter for Boston College. Tammy just needs to write a specific letter for Wendy, highlighting Wendy's accomplishments and Wendy's abilities. And that letter will go to any of the colleges that Wendy wants Tammy's letter to be sent to. I like to clarify that because sometimes I know there can be a bit of confusion, but teachers should write student-specific recommendations, not college-specific recommendations. So for example, Wendy wants her letter, or Wendy wants Tammy's letter to go to American and Boston College. Students will need to choose a deadline for that recommendation. Either they're going to see a date picker, or if your school has entered specific deadlines, they're going to see a drop down with those deadline options to choose from. So let's pick October 1st. It's a good deadline. Students are also going to upload a brag sheet for their teachers. They will be able to upload one brag sheet per request. So they can upload a specific brag sheet for Tammy, for Mr. Smith, for Mr. Brian, all of that. They can upload specific brag sheets for them as well. Students will be required to enter a note that will be shared with their recommender. So this is a really great place to maybe thank your teacher for writing you a letter of recommendation and saying, hey, Tammy teacher, thanks so much for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule to write me this letter of recommendation. I really appreciate it. After students have requested a recommendation, they're going to see that information down here at the bottom. So they'll see the specific university, the recommender they've requested, when that recommendation was requested. If for some reason they need to update their brag sheet, they can do that here. If the teacher has not yet completed the recommendation, they can cancel the request. If a teacher has completed the recommendation, they're going to see this 0 change to 1 completed, as well as the date that that was uploaded on their behalf. Awesome. Alrighty, so I'm going to hop into how students are going to connect their Common App accounts to Maia Learning now. So you can access your student profile from any page. I'm going to hop back to our dashboard for simplicity though.
Hey, Nikki,
So,
can I
yeah,
ask a couple of questions about letters of rec really quick?
yeah, absolutely.
A
Yeah.
couple of questions in the chat. What about
Perfect.
external
Sorry.
letters of recommendation? How are they requested and uploaded? Would those go into like Maya Drive for a student?
That's a really great question. So, there are a couple different ways that external letters of recommendation can be processed. The one thing I want to note though is that it, if it's an external recommender, are they like what Common App considers a quote unquote other recommender? Meaning it could be like my band teacher, or not band teacher, sorry, not teacher, but maybe like my symphony coach or something like that, like my travel baseball coach. Those aren't considered teacher letters of recommendation, which is what students are requesting through Maya Learning. However, if your student maybe has just transferred into this district and they have teachers from a previous high school that they want letters of recommendation for, those can definitely be uploaded through My Learning because students will be required to have their recommendations go through My Learning. In that case, you're going to want to speak to your counselor at your high school. We can create a generic external recommender, and there are two ways to get that letter to the counselor so it can be uploaded into My Learning. Generally, the external recommenders or other teacher letters of recommendation, generally schools don't like to give access to Maya Learning to people who don't work within their district. It's totally understandable. What your counselors are going to do is create a generic account. They can upload that letter and still send it along as a letter of recommendation. And we're happy to walk Amy, we're happy to walk your counseling team through that process. It seems more confusing when I explain it verbally than it actually is in terms of process. But if you have any students where that's the case, I just helped someone with another one of our customers yesterday about that. It's very simple. I'm happy to talk your team through that. And for any students where that's pertinent to them, they should just send you a quick email and then we can help you with how to kind of get that. Either the external teacher recommender would need to either just send you the letter directly if they don't want students' hands on it, or if they're comfortable and feel fine giving the student that letter, they can pass it along to you as well. But yeah, it would need to be uploaded and sent through My Learning, but I'm happy to kind of talk through the intricacies of that process another time.
Okay, and last
Yeah,
question, is there a way to
yeah.
change the university list for a recommendation after requesting a recommendation? So if you request it, all of a sudden you find another university that you want to apply to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So in that case, so for example, I've requested a letter of recommendation from Mr. Kaplan here, Marty Kaplan.
Right.
And I requested University of Southern California. And I'm like, oh man, I want Mr. Kaplan to write for American University too. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna search for Mr. Kaplan. I'm gonna select his name again. I'm gonna choose my additional university that I want him to write for. I'm going to make sure that I upload my brag sheets, write him a note, and select the deadline for that particular recommendation. I'm going to click save, and then he'll get a notice that he needs to write, or that his letter is going to both of those universities. Not that he's writing a separate letter. He's writing one letter for Wendy. However, his letter is going to go to both of those
But
universities.
you'll get notified that it's going to a second place.
Yes, absolutely. He'll be able to see that on his teacher dashboard.
Got it.
Yeah. Any other questions about recommendations right now? And I'm happy to kind of go through the chat and answer anything after we go through that Common App connection piece.
No, we did have a question at the start. If a student wants to have 3 letters of rec put into Maya, different schools need different teacher input. How do they do that? There's only an option for 2 teachers.
I have a feeling that might be a particular college that only allows 2 letters.
2 letters.
So in that case, because you do have the ability, like I can request a letter from like 8 different teachers because I have the ability to, because I'm applying to that many schools. So in that case, my assumption is I don't know the student or the situation, but that that particular university only allows 2 letters of recommendation. So unfortunately, we can't override what universities accept or allow. So students will need to choose just 2 recommenders for that particular school.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Alrighty, so I'm going to hop over and kind of walk through how students are going to connect their Common App accounts.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So in my demo student, I've already connected my Common App account. So I'm going to kind of talk through what that looks like afterwards, but how students will do that. So when they log in, if a student has not yet connected their account, they're going to go to their profile. Their profile is going to be accessible through this small thumbnail at the top right. I can see here, cute little Wendy's photo. Your student may just see a silhouette of like a small gray person if they don't have a profile picture uploaded. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to choose Open Profile. Awesome. So from my profile page, I'm going to see 3 tabs along the top: Profile, Settings, and Connections. Students are going to connect their Common App account on that Connections page. Or sorry, on their Settings page. My apologies. Ugh, late in the day for me. On their Settings page. So here they're going to see under Application Systems, SRAR, and Common App. So if a student has not yet linked their Common App account, they're going to see this click to link your account down here underneath Common App. So what they're going to do, they're going to select that, click to link your account that they would find underneath there. They'll be prompted to log into their Common App account. It will then ask permission and say, do you want to connect your Common App account with Maya Learning? Students will select yes, and then it will redirect them back to their Maya Learning account with their Common App information connected. One thing I do want to note, this happens every application cycle, albeit not a lot, but sometimes, where students have created multiple Common App accounts. They may have had one their junior year, forgot about it, went and created a new one their senior year, and unintentionally link the wrong account. That's not a big deal. It does happen, as I mentioned, to at least one person every application cycle. You can tell if you've linked the wrong account by verifying that your Common App ID here seen in Maya Learning is the same Common App ID that you see when you log into your Common App account. That's how you can verify that. If you've accidentally linked the incorrect account, that's where your counselor can reach out to our team. We can disconnect those, and that will give you the opportunity to relink your correct account. I do like to note that because, as I mentioned, it does inevitably happen at least a couple times every application cycle. Not anything to worry about, but just something to get corrected before it's the night before some documents are due, things like that. Your student will need to answer the FERPA question within Common App in order for documents to be sent on their behalf. Students are not required to waive FERPA. They just need to answer the question, whether they do waive their rights or they do not waive their rights. This is what will allow documents or allow counselors to send documents on behalf of your student through Maya Learning, as well as teachers to send letters of recommendation on behalf of your students through Maya Learning. Students can select their FERPA answer either within Common App, but if they've forgotten to do so, they can also do so directly here within Maya Learning. If I have not answered my FERPA status, so here I can see it's unanswered, I will have this option in Maya Learning. I can select Release FERPA. It's going to take me to Common App. It's going to prompt me to log into my Common App account. Apologies, it's taken a hot second. Go. Perfect. It'll prompt me to log in. This is very similar to the connection process and kind of what your student will see. I'm going to complete my FERPA authorization. This is if I'm waiving my FERPA rights, just to clarify. You'll do that from here. Select acknowledge, and then students can choose either waive my right or I do not waive my right. I do want to clarify that whatever you choose in Common App, you cannot go back and change it later very easily. It can be changed if, for example, you do not waive your rights, but then you do want to waive your rights. That can be changed. It cannot be the other way around. You cannot waive your rights and then choose to not waive your rights later on. I just want to clarify that because after documents have started being sent, that does get a bit sticky. So I just like to clarify that. So here I would sign my name as my student, Wendy Baker. Going to choose today's date, save and close, wonderful. And then I can select to go back to my learning. and I'll be redirected back to my Maya Learning account.
And Nikki, can I just add a little bit about the waiving of
Yeah,
rights?
absolutely. Absolutely, Stephanie.
I believe this is a district policy. Maybe Amy can clarify, but I will speak specifically from Yarmani. Students have to waive their FERPA rights, or teachers will not
Okay,
write letters of recommendation. Teachers and
gotcha.
counselors will not send letters of recommendation. And I believe that's true of all the schools, but Amy, can you clarify that?
Yeah, generally that's true. A student can choose not to waive their rights, but that will likely result in a teacher saying, I'm not gonna, like, that will prevent me maybe from, really, providing all the information I need to provide. So I think it is important that our teachers feel like they can write the letter of recommendation they want to send for the student, but they have the right, I mean, teachers have the right to refuse letters of rec. And that could be a big reason why they would refuse one. Yeah.
And I'll just, for anybody that might have just panicked, I will say that I feel really confident in all of our teachers that they're not going to agree to write that letter unless it's going to be a supportive, strong letter for that student.
Absolutely.
So I don't want parents to be worried that by waiving those rights, that there's potentially a letter that would not support their student. So our teachers are really good about doing that. So don't worry, it's going to be a strong letter.
Yes, we do a lot of work with teachers around, look, if you don't feel like you can write a strong letter, just tell that to the student that somebody else is probably a better recommender than me. Have that honest conversation. Don't say, sure, waive your rights, and I'm just gonna bash you in an That's not, we don't do that. No.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you guys for clarifying that. I like to provide all options because I'm not sure however, everyone does things a little bit differently. So I just like to speak in general terms about that. But coming back, I can now see that after I went and answered my FERPA question, I can now see here that my FERPA status is showing as waived. So my counselor and teachers can now send letters of recommendation for me through Maya Learning. Awesome. So those are kind of the big pieces of how your students will navigate and work through Maya Learning right now in terms of preparing for those college applications, prepping all of that information. I'm happy, excuse me, to take some time and answer any questions about the college application process, and then we'll kind of hop into the difference between a student and family account, and then how families are going to access those accounts as well. I'm going to take a quick look through that Q&A box and see if there's anything.
Yeah, and
I see a question. Oh, sorry, Amy. Yeah.
Couple things that I'm saying, no matter what,
Yeah.
applying Common App, UC, CSU, or directly applying to a school, do you need to use Maya to send transcripts? I believe, Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong, the answer is yes.
I think I can answer that. Yes,
Yeah,
because
I
we
was
do
typing an
also
answer.
integrate. Yeah, no, you're okay. We do also accept or partner with Parchment and Slate, which are two of the largest document sending partners in the United States for college applications as well as internationally. Parchment is used by the majority of international schools as well. And so, yes, you will request transcripts and all of your information through Maya Learning. It's just not sent through the Common App portal, but it is sent through Maya Learning itself. If there happens to be a like particular school, so one that sticks out to me is Georgetown. Georgetown has its own process. It accepts letters via snail mail because they're in the dark ages. Your counselors and teachers will be notified that those documents are not able to be sent electronically, and they will know how to send them via snail mail. Like that is something they will be notified about, they will have in front of them. So ensure your documents will go where they need to go. And I'm sure Stephanie can provide a bit more information on that.
Yeah. The other piece that I'll talk about is, because this was a question that came up a few times in the chat,
Okay.
is if your student took a class outside of the district, right? So like outside of one of our schools, a community college class, UC Scout, Apex, some of those places where our students are taking classes, those transcripts do not get uploaded through Maya Learning. So those transcripts have to be ordered directly from those institutions themselves. And if your students need help trying to figure out how to navigate that, go see their college and career center people, and we can help them figure that out. But only our district transcripts get uploaded through Maya Learning. Learning. So orders have to be done for anybody taking classes outside.
And our students will
Awesome.
do their UC and CSU apps through Maia, correct, Stephanie?
I'm sorry, what was the whole question, Amy?
Students will do their UC and CSU apps through Maia as well.
In terms of, so their UC and CSU apps don't have to be synced to Maya Learning like the Common App does, like they just would apply normally because the UCs and Cal States don't accept letters of rec or transcripts, so there's no need to have that sync happen. And they will apply directly through those institutions. So it's like apply Cal State, it's Cal State apply for the CSUs and UC apply, I think, for the UC application. The Cal State application is
Those
not
applications directly, no need to go through Maia.
No, but you should list them
They,
as colleges that you are applying to in your applying list.
Got it.
yes, I was gonna add that last little bit, Stephanie, just to make sure, because then if your student does end up attending one of those schools, your district will send their final transcript through Maya Learning to that school. So it's still important that although their application is entirely through like an external platform process, that you still want to add those to your list. One, so that it's comprehensive and you're having that conversation with your counselor, and two, so that that final transcript can be sent seamlessly if that's where you decide to attend. Awesome. Just kind of scanning through the chat to see if there's anything about applications.
Yeah, and if a student's using a different email than their school email, that could be a problem with syncing and linking accounts, correct? They should.
No, students should
Oh,
use
they
their
can
personal
use.
email in Common App. Yeah, that should
Great.
not cause
Okay.
an issue whatsoever. Yeah, if they
Right.
do happen to run into a problem or maybe get an error message during that syncing process, if they can just contact their counselor and their counselor can pass that along to us, we're happy to look into it and see what the issue might be. But yeah, no, they should use their personal email address. I'm not sure within your district if students are allowed to keep their like Acalanes emails after they graduate. But we encourage them to use personal email addresses because they'll also always have access to those even after matriculation.
Yeah, we encourage that too.
Perfect. Awesome. Awesome. I do see a question about how parents can verify that a student has submitted their brag sheet. So students cannot complete that letter of recommendation request without uploading a brag sheet. That is a required part of that request. So there wouldn't be like an unintentional student submits their letter of rec request and they haven't uploaded a brag sheet. That's just not possible. They are required to upload a brag sheet. Perfect. Awesome. So that's kind of the basics, unless Amy or Stephanie, you guys are seeing anything you would like me to address right now before I kind of hop into the family accounts.
Yeah, and I would say, I just want to say a few things, and Stephanie, maybe you can help me about your family accounts. If you're not able to log into your family account, please contact either your registrar or your college career advisor. Should that be right, Stephanie? Because we can resend.
Actually, we can do it easier than that.
Oh, wow. Yay.
Yeah, I know, right? If you're not able to log into your family account, so passwords were sent by the district in the end of the school year, so in the spring last year, but those temporary passwords expired. So if you didn't get a chance to log in, no problem. Just go on to the Maya Learning website and then type in your email and click forgot password, and you should be able to reset your password.
Yep, absolutely. So you'll just enter the email address on file, send that email. If for some reason you don't receive that password reset email, the majority of the time what's happened, especially for people who might use like a work sponsored email, sometimes it will get routed to spam or junk just based on what your organization's rules are around that. That I just like to mention that does happen quite often with other organizational places because Maya Learning is not something familiar to most companies. And so that might be where that's at. But yes, you can reset your password there as well.
Great, thank you.
And then Amy, this is not necessarily a Maya Learning question, but it is popping up quite a bit as parents are starting to log in and see test scores. Can you just give a little insight as to how SAT, ACT, and I know AP scores are in there, but how SAT and ACT test scores get uploaded through the district to be in Maya Learning?
Yeah, the test scores are uploaded into Aries from students from ACT, SAT. So if the student has said that to send the scores to our institution, then we should have uploaded them into Aries, and it should be tracking to Maia. If there's a problem with that, I can maybe find out some more on that and maybe do a little FAQ on it.
Yeah,
But
I think the bigger question is like some students who took maybe a test in May, they're not showing up currently in Maya Learning. And I don't know, I know there is a bit of a lag time because I don't know how quickly the district gets those test scores. I think students get them much quicker than
they
the
do,
district does. So I
yes.
don't know. And I also remember that it used to be a manual upload. So I don't know if that is still happening either. So that takes a little bit of time. So certainly the tests that were just taken in August that students just got back are definitely not going to be there yet, but I don't know about May.
Yeah, I can check on that. I can ask about that tomorrow.
Thanks, Amy.
Awesome. So in that case, I'm going to go through how families will access their accounts. Awesome. So family accounts. So there are a couple nuanced differences between your family account and your student's account. One is going to be that you will have separate logins. So as Stephanie mentioned, for those of you that were able to join the webinar in the spring and have already accessed your accounts, you do know that you're going to use your email address to access those, and your students will use their Academy's address to access their accounts. One other thing is that those parent, guardian, family accounts are going to be read only, as I mentioned before. So you're going to be able to view and track all of that information about your student, but any changes to that student's account, so requesting those letters of recommendation, requesting those transcripts after they've added those colleges to their applying list and what have you, that's going to need to be done from within your student's account when they're logged in. So not from within your parent account when you're viewing a student. That's again only going to be kind of view only. However, you are going to be able to see exactly what your student sees. So you'll select their name, and then you'll be able to see everything that we kind of went over through that demo student account today. So as I mentioned, when you are in your parent account, you're going to see that student dashboard when you select your student. So when you log in, this is what your parent dashboard is going to look like. You're going to see two different role types. You're going to see parent when you initially log in, and then you're going to see student. To access your student, do not click the student role type option. You're going to want to select your student's name from your dashboard on the front of the page. That's how you'll want to access their information. And once you click on their name, then you're going to see that same view, same setup that we went over from that student demo account earlier on today. If your school has sent out a parent survey, you're also going to see that on your parent dashboard. So again, when you log in, you're going to see any surveys or any activities that have been requested of you down at the bottom. Some of you may see a parent survey down there. You'll also see the due date of that particular survey, and to respond to that survey, you're going to click that start option. Surveys can be started and then completed at a later time. But once you do click to submit your responses, you will not be able to go back and edit them unless the counselor at your student's school goes back and turns that survey back on for you. So just do keep that in mind if you kind of want to review any of those previous responses before submitting. You'll want to make sure to do that before you click submit at the end. Awesome. So just to remind students are going to log in through Clever to access their My Learning accounts. So you'll see your My Learning SSO option on Clever, and that's how you will access your accounts. So as Stephanie and Amy both mentioned, you're going to log into Maya Learning directly through the mylearning.com page. You'll sign in with your email on file with your student's school. So it'll be whatever email you provided them that you receive other correspondence through. you're going to use that forgot password button to send yourself a reset password link, and then you can set your password. If you're having any login issues, please do reach out to your student's school. And if it's something that is beyond and with our system, we're more than happy to support that as well. But please go through your student's counselor. That's the easiest way for us to identify your association if we have that information coming directly from the counselor. Awesome. Well, so that's kind of all the information I have for you today. I'm sure we still have quite a few questions. I'm happy to hang around and answer anything that I can that might be my learning specific. But thank you all so much for attending this session today. I really appreciate it. Happy to talk and share about my learning with you all. If you do have any questions after today's call, please contact your school counselor or college coordinator, and they will liaise with us if necessary. So,
quick question, Nikki.
yeah,
I just want to
yeah,
make sure that I'm understanding this right too.
yes,
So
ma'am.
back to the brag sheets, right? So back to the brag
Yes.
sheets for our district, they're captured under the survey for the counselor brag sheet. Now there is that opportunity when you request letters of recommendation to have a brag sheet uploaded to that teacher. It's my understanding in the training that we had that that is a feature that has to be almost like a global brag sheet that's used. And so in the situation where different teachers have different brag sheets, that is not the way that we would upload them.
No, that's a great question. So currently the settings in your school are one brag sheet per request. So if a teacher, right, for example, like me, teacher Nikki, I have this brag sheet that if students want a letter from me, they have to fill out this form. Students can upload that just for me.
Okay.
That's absolutely possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Just for that particular teacher, you're saying.
Yes, yes. And then
Yeah.
they can choose, like maybe you guys have a universal template. If a teacher doesn't provide their own, you have one that you want students to use or to kind of give them a guideline. They can then upload that for teacher Smith, teacher Brian, teacher
Right.
whoever. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
This is a question that would be individual then to each of the college and career center people. At Miramani, we are not using that function. Like we are not
Oh,
uploading
okay.
teacher brag sheets through it. I believe as a district, at least for this first year, we all kind of decided that we weren't going to do that just
Okay.
but I don't know for sure. And I'm only bringing it up because it was coming up in the chat box a little bit. And I just wanted to clarify that I understood that properly, but it sounds like while it can be done right now, that is not a function that we're all utilizing at our schools. That might be a step 2 function next year, but that's not something that I think that we're doing currently. But for those parents who are interested, have their student check in with our college and career center. And then maybe it's different for each of the district schools, but for Miramani, we're
Gotcha.
not
Okay.
using that teacher function.
Okay. I will have Kelly check on that in the morning just
Okay.
to check all the schools in the district to make sure that that is what you guys are looking
Okay.
for, to make
Thank
sure
you.
that there's no confusion. Yeah, absolutely.
Question, divorced parents, if there's a 2-parent household, I believe they both got an invite into Maya Learning, but I can double check. Like Stephanie, do you have an answer for that?
Sorry, Amy, again, I was reading the questions in the chat.
That's okay, like if you have a divorced parents or 2 households that would like to access Maya, I think invites went to both primary contacts.
I think that's right as well. In the past, it had been only the primary parent in Aries, but I believe if both parent emails were available in the district, then it should have gone to both.
Yes. Oh, and another question, if a student's applying to some schools early action and some regular decision, would they put in the teacher letter request for the first deadline and then go back just as you showed Nikki and like, hey, now it's regular action? Do you know what I mean? We're going to request that same
Yeah.
teacher. Okay. The letter will stay in.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll get sent twice, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Or if they already kind of have their finalized list, whether they're applying like regular decision or early action, they can still put that earlier deadline because again, teachers write letters for the student. They don't write letters for the college. So if they're writing one that early, that's going to be the letter that goes to that college regardless of deadline anyways. So they can still put them all at once for a particular teacher versus having to go through and create like an individual request for every college, for every teacher pairing, if that makes sense.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yep.
so just
Okay.
to take that a little bit further. So when
Yeah.
they're doing those requests for letters of recommendation, you'll see that
Mhm.
there is a deadline that the student can put in. That deadline that they can type in should match their earliest application deadline.
Yes.
So I think
Yep.
students start to panic and they start to say, well, even though my earliest application deadline is November 1st, I'm going to request my teacher letter of recommendation for October 1st. Teachers have been told to ignore that box if it's different than the application deadline, because teachers will get the letters in on time. Sometimes it is
Mhm.
November 1st, right? Like sometimes it is at 8 o'clock on
Yeah.
November 1st,
Mhm.
but they will get them in on time. And just so parents understand, there is a little bit of a lag time that teachers have to submit letters in the college's eyes. So if there's a deadline of November 1, if they were to get it in 5 days later, it is still okay. It will not disadvantage that student. So teachers have a little bit of lag time. So, but the application deadline should match the letter of recommendation deadline that they're putting in.
Mhm. Absolutely. In my experience, the part that matters most is that students have their portion done by the
Exactly.
application deadline. That is
Done
for
and
students.
submitted.
So
Yep.
yes, yes,
By
absolutely.
11:59 local time to the college.
Yes.
Yes. I think we've answered most of these. And I really
Awesome.
recommend for parents who are watching, if you have questions, I mean, it's great to sit down with your seniors, see what they say, take a look at what they're doing. And if you have questions, we have 4 amazing, and I really say this, amazing college and career advisors at your sites. And when I post the links here, I will put links to the College and Career Center emails in case parents have questions. And your counselors have also, you know, been introduced to Maia and trained. We're all learning the system, so nothing's perfect. The first year you do anything, you know, we're all learners together with the students. But we are trying to get out there, you know, into senior classes. It's the top priority is to make sure our seniors application process is smooth, and to work with them. So really encourage your student to find their voice, speak up, visit the college and career centers at their site, visit their counselor. If they're having trouble, they need help, those are the folks to go to. All right. And we will post this recording on the website. Probably by Wednesday, it will be up. For the copy of this presentation and this recording will be up on the website by Wednesday. So thank you, everybody, for attending. Really appreciate it. Stephanie, thank you for, I just promoted you as a panelist and put you to work. So I really appreciate you coming.
Yeah,
It's
no
great to
problem.
have you here. So appreciate it. And parents, enjoy this season. It's certainly an exciting one as your student applies to the most amazing colleges. And we look forward to helping with that process and celebrating your student as they move on to post-secondary success. All right. Thank you so much, Nikki.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you,
No
Stephanie.
problem.
Good
Thank you
night.
guys for having me, and
Yeah.
good luck to everyone this application cycle.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.